윈저 캐슬, The History and Treasures of 윈저 캐슬. Later Plantagenet, King Edward III, who was born in Windsor, decided to found a new order of chivalry to celebrate his martial victories, in the course of which the kings of both Scotland and France had been brought as prisoners to Windsor. His original intention was to revive King Arthur's Knights of the Round Table, and work started on a circular building in the upper ward of the castle. Dr. Lee's intended to accommodate the table. Before the work was finished, however, the king changed his mind and decided instead to found the warders of the Garter. Edward I, Edward II, Edward III, Richard II, 1272, 1399. Many explanations have been offered for the choice of so intimate a garment as the emblem of the country's leading order of chivalry. The traditional story is that at a ball to celebrate the capture of Calais in 1347, a Garter won by Joan, Countess of Salisbury, a celebrated beauty who may have been the king's mistress and certainly married his eldest son, the Black Prince, fell to the ground. When the king picked up, some of those around him smiled at what they took to be the enormous gesture. This leader king, the author, the celebrated words, only saw it kill mal a fence. Shame on him who thinks evil of it, adding that they would soon see that Garter advanced to so high an honor that they would be happy to wear it themselves. Having determined, for whatever reason, to found this order, the king decided to provide a worthy setting for it by reconstructing the royal apartment in the upper ward. Henry III's Stompton's domestic apartments were accordingly demolished to make way for something even more spectacular, spacious enough to do duty, as well for the more formal apartment in the royal ward, which had been destroyed by fire. The principal place of assembly in this new building was St. George's Hall, where the knight companion of the new order met on St. George's Day for their ceremonial banquet. A new gatehouse at the entrance to the upper ward, which was raised to guard access to these apartments, survives to this day under the misleading name of the Norman Gateway. As a place of worship for his new order, the king made use of the chapel built by Henry III in the royal ward, reconstructing its furnishing and extending its dedication to include Saint George, who was to be the patron saint of the new order. Around it, on the site of King Henry's former apartment, he built extensive quarters for clergy, many of which still stand. So were the works carried out for this king that the basic accommodation remained unchanged for 300 years, as long a span as he elapsed between King Charles II and the present day. Immense quantities of stone were brought from widely separated countries, some from as far afield as Yorkshire, and no less than 4 woods were demolished to provide timber. Almost workmanship and carpenter throughout the whole of England, wrote a chronicler, were brought to the building, so that hardly anyone could have a good mansion or carpenter except in secret, on account of the king's prohibition. In 1360 alone, the sheriffs of 13 counties were ordered to send 568 masons, the only monarch in the history of the castle to match this extravagance was King George IV, 4.5 centuries later. Paging page above. Detail from a bird's eye view of the castle engraved by Wenceslaus Holler in the mid-17th century, showing the apartment of state erected by King Edward III 300 years earlier. The original St. George's Hall, numbered 17 on the roof, is on the right of the main block, facing the quadrangle. Pasting page below. The interior of the original St. George Hall, built by King Edward III in 1362-5. This engraving, also by Holler, showed the banquet of the Knights of the Garter. King Charles II is seated alone on a daisy at the far end, and the knights companions are at the long table on the left. A few years after these engravings were made, King Charles ordered the demolition of most of King Edward's apartments to make way for a new residence in the Baroque style. Paging page above. St. George's Chapel, founded in 1475 by King Edward IV and completed 50 years later by King Henry VIII, is one of the finest examples of the perpendicular style of the late Gothic architecture. Facing page below. The Albert Memorial Chapel stands on the site of the earlier chapel built by King Henry VII in the late 15th century as a lady chapel for St. George's Chapel, and subsequently intended for use as a tomb house. It was converted by Queen Victoria into a memorial for her husband, the Prince Consort. Right. So-called Norman Gateway, built by King Edward III in 1359-60 to replace an earlier gateway, defending access to the upper world. Below. The upper end of Castle Hill, showing the curved outline of King Edward III Tower. Below right, portrait of King Edward III, holding the two-handed sword, which hung above his stall in King Henry III's chapel, and which is preserved in St. George's Chapel. The printing was made in 1615.